Hi.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Yeah. Welcome to our bonus episode. Joining us today is star of stage and screen, none other than Eric Millegan. We had the honor and privilege of having Eric join us for an interview where he shared so many things about his life and experiences, including his time on Bones playing the inimitable Zack Addy. We were also blessed with the presence of one Mrs. Malloy, who insisted on being first on the call sheet for our talk. Be sure to check out Eric's Patreon, Cameo, Spotify, and real estate links in the show description. Now, please enjoy our interview with Eric Millegan.
So I am fangirling right now because I have seen all 12 seasons of Bones, although I have the memory of a goldfish, so I don't remember every detail. But when we started this podcast, I said to Kelly that you are my favorite character and that you are a fan favorite, and she's gonna love you when we were watching through.
Oh.
So this is awesome to be able to talk to you and be able to learn more about you as an actor, as a person, and a little bit maybe about Zack.
Sure. I always hear people saying they watch the whole series like 3 or 4 times, which seems impossible to me. But I watched every episode the night they aired usually.
Okay.
And now I've been going back trying to see them for like a second time. I have a Patreon page. So I've been posting a video about my thoughts about each episode as I watch them. But I'm only I think the last one I did was Man in the Wall.
Okay, well that's pretty far then.
It's like 6th or 7th episode of the first season.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Listen, ask me anything. I am a person who did not watch the show when it aired. I'm not familiar with Bones. This is my first time watching it through. It just wasn't on my radar, I guess, during that time period. I think I was going through, I was trying to think yesterday why I didn't watch Bones. And I think it was because that's when I started downloading stuff and I stopped watching regular cable television. I unplugged from cable. So
Right.
I never watched regular network television. So I think I missed the boat on a lot of things like this.
Yeah.
And Man in the Wall. So that's the last one you watched, season 1. That has one of my favorite guest stars of all time, Bokeem Woodbine. He's one of my favorite people.
Oh,
and
nice.
Morris Chestnut, of course, who
Morris
made
Chestnut's
jokes.
great.
I made jokes about him and Seeley being more than friendly.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I played in the NBA Entertainment League, and he was in that. So that's how I know him most well.
Oh,
that's very
really?
I don't
cool.
think I had
That
any
is-
scenes with him when he was on our show.
No.
So-
and that was, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Brittany.
No, I didn't realize that. So are there, I don't know a ton about the acting world. So are there episodes where you may not work alongside many of the actors that are in the episode just because you don't have scenes with them?
Yeah, I only see the people I have scenes with, unless I'm showing up at the same time they're leaving. I never
Yeah.
had any scenes with Stephen Fry, but we became
Oh.
good friends just because we passed ships in the night, and
Yes.
we're both
Yeah.
gay and we're both bipolar, and
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he actually told me, lady, I wish he saw me and he said, I wish that boy was my boyfriend. But now he's happily married. So
Oh my
Okay.
God.
yeah.
Well, were you
I'm sorry. I'm so funny.
were you happily married at the time of that Bones aired?
Mhm.
All right.
we weren't it wasn't legal till 2012, which is when we got married.
Okay.
But so that's after I left Bones, but
Yeah.
we were together
Yeah.
Mhm.
since before
Mhm.
Bones even started.
So even if
Very
he tried
good.
to proposition you, you'd be like, "Excuse me, sorry, I'm taken."
Exactly. Yeah.
Stop right there.
Stop. So did your partner watch all these episodes with you then as they aired?
Not the first season, because I was out there by myself the first season.
Okay.
So we talked about them on the phone
Yeah.
afterwards. And my dad, it's funny, everybody watched that first episode, that second episode. Maybe by like the third episode, like nobody called me afterwards or whatever. And I called my dad and I said, you do realize that like you need to call me after these episodes air. Like if I'm on TV, you're supposed to call me and tell me about how good I did on the show.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Then he always did, but it's like, right? Like I'm supposed to get feedback from the close people around me.
That's
Yes,
so
100%.
nice.
And as your family,
Mhm.
they got to tell you the best, absolute best stuff. Like,
I think
wow,
it was
you really
Man in the
nailed it
Wall.
in that.
I think it was after Man in the Wall that my brother actually told me, "Hey, you did a good job on the show."
Oh,
Which-
wow.
Amazing.
Which was nice because Man in the Wall was kind of the first show I felt I didn't do much in. Like the first 5 episodes, like it involved every one of us, and we were all involved in subplots in addition to solving, like Man the Bear, which is a great one where we're fighting over the delivery girl.
Yes.
But we're also helping them solve the case in Washington State.
Yeah.
So but then Man in the Wall script came out and I was like, where's like my big moment? And I feel like I had like a big moment in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? Did I do something wrong? Like I was really worried. It's just like the 6th or 7th episode. But now when I go back and watch it, I do a lot in it. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
surprised that you're saying that you didn't have a big part in it, because I would say until the 3rd season, I felt like you did have a big part in every episode.
Yeah,
Every
the 3rd
single
season.
episode.
Well, I used to go out into the field. That first season, I was always there taking pictures of the crime scene.
Yeah.
Then they slowly pushed me into the lab, and they got it down to where we could do all of our lab scenes in like 2 days, and that's all we do for the episode.
Wow. So that's a good
season
question,
3
actually. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to ask, like,
3
how long does it take you to film one episode?
Technically 8 working days. We don't work on Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
So it's like Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But it was kind of taking us theoretically it's 8, but it was kind of taking us 9 days. So the way they did it was they do 8 days. On the 9th day, we'd maybe doing some lab stuff while David and Emily are starting the next episode.
Okay.
Wow.
So we kind of took 9 days, but we overlapped it.
That's incredible.
That's
It's an incredible machine.
Yeah.
For sure.
So did you ever have to work a Saturday or Sunday? Did you get time and a half, double time?
We did get overtime, yeah. And we did work late. Because what happens is on Monday, you start at 6 a.m., but you have to have 12 hours off. So we go till 9 p.m. shooting that day.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, we have to start at 9 a.m.
Okay.
So we actually got one time where I wasn't called in till midnight. Like it moved so late that my call-in time was midnight.
It's like a night shift.
So we definitely did like late shifts or long 18-hour days definitely happened. The person who it's really hard for was Emily and David, but the two of them, are constantly working and constantly having to, memorize lines for the next episode. It's like
they're in all the scenes for sure.
Very, very, very strenuous job for them.
Oh,
For me, I'm doing, 3 days on every episode. Early on, I might have done 5 or 6, but for the most part, I'd say on average it'd be like 3. And
that's still quite a bit.
But you kind of feel like at all moments you should be working, because you can be working on your lines and working on your character. So if you're sitting watching TV, you still kind of feel like, God, should I be going over my script? So it's kind of like this feeling the whole time that you should be working. I did as best as I could. Memorizing lines doesn't take a long time. It just takes concentration. Like if I say, okay, we're going to memorize the lines now. I'm going to go in another room. I'm going to learn the scenes. And it's hard, but it's done in about 45 minutes.
Wow.
You know what
Seriously?
I mean? you really, 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 really focus, but after 45 minutes or an hour, you've done it. The problem is, the hour is hard,
Yeah.
but if you just really, really focus, it doesn't
Mhm.
take that long.
Wow,
And then
that's
you
an
got to run
incredible
it. Then you
gift.
got to run it in your trailer and stuff, before you
Yeah.
do it. I did a fun
Wild.
thing with TJ. I'd say TJ would run her on lines, and I was like, "Why don't we run our lines all at the same time? Like you say your lines, and I'll say my lines over you. Like we're not going to go back and forth. We're just going to say our lines."
Yeah.
And my theory was that if we can say our lines while the other person's talking, then we really know them. So I was like, go.
Yes.
So we just like start saying our lines like really fast at each other. And I was like, if we can not get distracted and get through it, then we know it.
That's amazing.
Also,
It's an
when
interesting technique.
Oh yeah.
Also, a big thing too, when I do big scenes, here's one of my tricks: memorize the end of the scene first, so that you go
Yeah.
out strong.
Smart.
As opposed
Yeah.
to, because when you're learning a scene, you keep starting over from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you learn the end of the scene first, then whenever you get to the end of the scene, you know it.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
and then there's another thing I was going to tell you about working with TJ.
TJ.
We were talking about memorizing lines. I was talking about saying the lines over each other.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't remember. I'll remember later. I forget.
I love, okay, so this is something with Kelly and I love Hodgins so
Okay.
much. I love his character. I think he's great. He has moments because you've seen all these episodes, so you know there's moments where you're like, oh boy, here we go. Hodgins, let's get it together. But Kelly and I have opposing opinions on Hodgins' character.
We have a different relationship with TJ. Yes.
My dog is
exactly.
barking, by the way.
That's okay.
Okay.
Sorry
What's
about
your
that.
dog's name?
Mrs. Malloy.
Oh, I
Oh
love
my
that so
God.
Baby,
much.
can you bring her over? Bring her
I
over.
would love to see your dog. Oh, I love a Zoom cameo of a dog.
we
Give it to
go.
me now. I
Cameo.
love it.
She's going to appear in the rest of the episode.
Oh my
All
God.
right, I love it.
I'm so
Once-
happy.
Once I have her, I'm not giving her putting her down.
Oh.
Amazing.
Oh,
Oh
Mrs. Malloy. Hello.
You are
Hi,
beautiful.
Bouja, Bouja. Oh my God. What kind of dog is she?
She is a mix between a Chihuahua and a Maltese and a Poodle and a Shih Tzu.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Bunch of dogs. She's a
Oh my gosh.
she's a mix. She was a rescue. She was found wandering in California. She had just had
Oh.
babies.
Aw.
She was not even. She was like only a year and a half. We've had her 5 years now, and now she's kissing me.
Aw.
Oh,
That's
You want to
okay.
be on podcast,
Sweetheart.
Miss? You want to be on podcast, Mrs. Malloy? You lick my face.
guest starring.
Guest
She
star.
doesn't
I-
seem
oh
to.
my gosh.
She doesn't seem to see you guys. Like,
No,
Oh,
she
like
wouldn't.
look at the camera. She doesn't understand cameras or mirrors for that matter.
No,
She doesn't.
I
She doesn't
know.
respond to mirrors.
Dogs are good like that.
She's
Dogs
just
are
happy
good
to
like
be.
that.
She's just happy to be with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kelly also has a dog. I do not have a dog.
Yes.
I have a small human, but no dog.
Oh, how small is the human?
He is 2.5.
Oh, that's a cute age, don't you think?
Yeah, I
Oh
love
my
this
God.
age. He's
Uh,
great.
They're great.
He's
You know what?
awesome.
People say that kids are the worst when they're teenagers, but I've discovered that they're not. I've talked about this before, that they're worse in their 20s. I've decided their 20s are the
Okay.
worst
Okay.
because they really don't care about you and they don't want anything to do with you, and
Right.
they don't like they're very independent and yet they're not at the same time because they need all the
Okay.
food and the money and the housing, but they don't want you to have anything to do with their lives. So it's just like a
Right.
very, because they're trying to fly the coop and get their own lives
Yeah.
together, but it's like a weird transition, you know? So I'm experiencing
Well,
that
happy-
right now with my stepchildren. So
Happy Mother's Day to both of you.
Thank you so
Oh,
much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I
it's been
just-
a nice day.
kind of inherited my stepkids, so
Yeah.
I'm okay.
There you go.
Still,
Do
happy
you,
Mother's Day.
Speaking of family, I read somewhere that you have quite a big one. Do you have a lot of siblings? And are
I
they all still
do.
on the West Coast or are they scattered about?
Well, my parents live in South Carolina.
Okay.
And then there's my sister is married to Jeremy Renner's dad, by the way.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Wow.
And has 2 little boys, and she lives in California. Then there's
Wow.
me and my husband and my dog.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in New York.
Okay.
Yes.
And then there is Jeffrey. He just retired from the Navy. He's a psychiatrist and he lives in San Diego. And he has
Okay,
2
wow.
girls, one who's already in college. And then
Wow.
there is Colleen. She has
Wow.
4 girls. She's an emergency room doctor.
Wow.
Is she out of the military now? I think she is. Yeah, she's out of the military. She was in the military too, but she's out. And she lives in Florida. Then there's Brantley, who's in South Carolina, right next to my parents. He moved there
Wow.
first. Then they were visiting and saw a house that was for sale, so they bought
Oh my
it.
gosh. Wow.
And he has 7 kids going on 8. So
Oh my
half
God.
my nephews and nieces are right there.
Wow.
In that house. I just
Holy,
went and
that's a
visited
big
them
family.
a couple of weeks ago because they were in 2 of the kids were in The Sound of Music.
Oh my goodness.
And then there's Patrick, the baby. Patrick's the baby, and he is married and lives in California.
Amazing.
And that's our whole family. Yeah, I'm one of 6.
Wow.
My husband's one of 10, so it's a pretty big family.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh.
What are
Yeah.
holiday
Wow.
get-togethers like?
We haven't had like a full family get together in
Oh,
about
yeah.
7
Wow.
years. I used to organize one every single year, but the family got bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
and it was harder to get everybody in the same
Yeah.
place at once. But I'm turning 50 in August, and I'm
Yeah.
having
Any
my
plans?
party. We're gonna celebrate in Las Vegas, and
Ooh.
one of my sisters and one of my brothers is definitely coming, and a
Mhm.
couple others may come. So we'll be, it'll be somewhat of a family get together.
So
That's
what do
so
you do in
nice.
Vegas? What's fun for like a big family in
Well,
Vegas?
Well, I'm a big poker player, and I've actually won a poker
Oh.
tournament each of the last 2 years.
Wow.
What?
This
That's amazing.
particular trip, I'm not going to gamble as much. So we're going to go
Okay.
to shows. We're going to go see the Cirque du Soleil show.
Okay.
I
It's
go to
good,
the
by the way.
Carpenters. Yeah, I've seen it. I
Yes.
love it. I go
Beautiful.
to every year I go to the Carpenters Legacy. It's the tribute show to the Carpenters.
Oh,
Love it.
wow. Okay.
We're going to go
Wait.
to the Spear,
Oh, I haven't
Okay.
seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
and then Matt Franco, who won America's Got Talent, magician.
Wow. See,
Well,
I
hey-
don't think Brittany. Do you know who the Carpenters are, Brittany?
Yes,
Okay,
I
she
know
doesn't
of
know.
them.
Karen
She
Carpenter.
doesn't know who they are.
Karen Carpenter.
We have
Well-
a little bit of an age gap, me and
We have an
Kelly.
age.
She likes
Well,
to
they
tease
sang
me.
it. They sang. This is a funny thing you'll like. They sing a
Mhm.
song that was from Sesame Street called "Sing." Go sing,
Sing,
sing a
sing a
song,
song.
sing out loud,
Yeah.
and then they go la 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 la.
Yeah?
And then they say, "All right, everybody who's under 40," and no one sings.
No one
'Cause
sings it. Exactly.
Everybody there is old.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, they sang, you would know, why do birds suddenly appear, right?
Yeah.
Or
Every
don't you
time.
remember you told me you love me, baby?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They did that one.
I'm telling you. Oh,
They
This
did.
is amazing.
I'm on the top of the world,
world
Yeah.
looking
down
on
on
creation.
Yeah. Yep.
The only
Can
explanation
you just sing the rest of the time? This is fantastic.
Exactly.
Is
We're
the
gonna hear Eric
love
singing.
that I found,
ever since you've been
been
around.
your love's put me on
Me
the
at
top
the top of the
of the
world.
world.
I love this so much. Oh my gosh.
I grew up
It's
with that.
amazing. You
the,
singing on Bones
album.
is like,
I had the record.
yeah. So
Nice.
you know everything about the Carpenters then,
Yes.
Kelly, that there is to know.
Well, I had the LP records. I loved Karen Carpenter. She had a beautiful, her
Yeah.
tone, her voice is absolutely perfect. It's like, I'm sure you've heard of Anne Murray. Anne Murray also has that similar,
course.
very like her tone is a very clean,
Yep.
perfect tone, similar like Barbara
Mhm.
Streisand, all those ladies. They have gorgeous, gorgeous voices. So, and Karen was
Mhm.
very, very famous. She is perfection.
And you know how she
Anyway.
died, right? Brittany, you know how Karen
No.
Carpenter died?
No.
She starved herself. She
Yeah.
had
Oh my gosh.
she had anorexia,
Oh shoot.
and she read one, in the movie, the Karen Carpenter story, it's like she read some review that called her the chubby Karen Carpenter. And
No.
she just
Yeah.
stopped eating, and they just, you have to eat, and she starved herself to death. And if
That's
you watch
horrible.
late interviews, she looks like a skeleton. She's
Yeah.
so
Oh.
skinny.
So sad.
It's very,
so sad.
very sad.
Such a talent. So
Yep.
that's very sad. Oh my
It's
gosh.
awful. Well, she made anorexia nervosa very, like, she brought it to the forefront. People
Yeah,
didn't
she
know
did.
talk about it a lot, and then it
And
became
reduce the stigma, maybe.
yes, and there were lots of probably some ABC Family after school movies
Yeah.
specials about it.
Yep.
Well, she probably saved a lot of lives because of that, which is amazing.
I think if you went on YouTube, you could find the Karen Carpenter story.
Yeah.
Probably,
It was a TV movie. I watched it again in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And you should look it up.
Mhm.
It's upsetting, but it's a learning experience.
Well, and
Yes,
the music sounds like the music is quite
Oh.
incredible. So
Brittany,
that would
you'll
be-
love it. Brittany's the
Oh.
musical one here among us.
no, that
Eric.
is not true.
She's the one who sings. She's like used to have a band. Like she knows all the
Really?
musical stuff. Yes,
Okay,
I'm
we
not
were-
musical.
We were called Brittany and the Mathletes. It was me and a bunch of friends from my math club.
Wow.
I love
I'm not painting a picture as a person that is like really cool right here, but that's fine.
it.
Okay. I did want to ask you because you mentioned, sorry, I know I'm changing gears a little bit, but you said that you're living in New York. What brought you to New York?
Oh, when I graduated from college, my goal was to be on Broadway, so I moved right to New York. This
Okay.
is 1995. And after 5 years of auditioning and waiting out in the cold and the snow and all, going to open calls, I got cast in the revival of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay.
And I did that on
amazing.
Broadway for 6 months in 2000. And and then about 5 years later, I decided I wanted to try LA. I went to
Okay.
LA and got Bones pretty quickly. Got it like within the month that
Wow.
I'd gotten
Amazing.
there. And and then I did that. When I was done with that, I stayed in LA a little bit, but then I came back to New York. But then I went back and forth. So
Okay.
basically, I've had a home in New York for 29 years, and probably 9 of those years, if you add everything up together, I was in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. But
I
I'm-
see. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that you were in LA for like most of the time.
yeah.
So I was thinking New York was a new place for you, but yeah, you were on. I knew you were on Broadway, so that should
Yeah.
have been my clue.
Yeah, no,
So-
yeah.
But New York is very close to Canada, which is where we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you
yeah.
been
Never-
here? Have you been to Canada before?
I've been to Toronto. Saw the port.
That's
I'm a
where-
big Portland Trailblazers fan, so I saw the
Okay,
team
here we
play up
go.
there, and then
Here we go.
the Raptors are great, and then
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to ask you what you
then
think of the
when I-
Raptors.
I grew up in Oregon. When I grew up in Oregon, I was in a children's choir, and we went to a children's choir competition in Powell River, British Columbia. Not
Oh,
yes.
wow.
too far from Vancouver, I don't think. I was very
Yeah.
young, and we won. And
Amazing.
what I remember about it was as we were getting ready to go on stage, there were 2 people in our choir who were too old to compete because they were past the age that you had to for this choir thing. And
Okay.
they noticed that in the choirs earlier in the evening, that sometimes people would be like, itching their head or rubbing their nose, and that it was really distracting, really noticeable, that they weren't just hands at their side, totally focused on the scene. So they stood up as we were going on stage. Don't itch, keep your hands
no.
down. And, like, that was their like big advice before we went on stage. And I
Yeah.
remember just thinking like, don't itch.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
then
just want
they
to
announced-
say too.
And then they announced we won.
Oh wow! Sorry,
I
I
would
don't
have
want
been like, I might have been like 9 then too, 9 or 10.
Oh my
Oh wow,
god.
that's exciting. I just
Yeah.
want to say your dog is madly in love with you. Like she
Yeah, we
keeps
love her.
staring at you every time you talk. She's looking at you so adoringly.
She's so cute.
I love
Yeah,
her.
she's nice.
My
So
gosh.
when did you first show this musical talent you have? I'm asking for a friend who has a 2.5-year-old that likes to sing.
Um, well, going back to like before I can remember, apparently I loved the Grease soundtrack of the
Oh, that's
movie
amazing. Yeah.
because I would have been like 3 or 4 when the movie came out, about 4 years
Yeah.
old when the movie came out. And apparently I'd put it on all the time, and my aunts would get sick of listening to it because my aunts and my uncles were all around us when we lived in New Jersey when I was a little kid.
Okay.
And they would try to skip the record. They try to pick up the needle and skip to the end of the record so that they didn't
To
have to
trick
listen
you?
to the whole thing. And apparently I would start crying because
No.
I knew like,
Oh my
"No,
god.
you skipped, you're the one that I want."
Exactly.
You know, go back.
They had to be more
So then-
strategic.
So then Grease kind of ties in again because when I was in the 1st grade and my sister was in the 5th grade, I
Wow.
would go to rehearsals for after school. There were rehearsals for what was the 4th and 5th grade choir. And she was in the
Okay.
5th grade. So she was in the choir and I stayed with her so that she could walk me home. But I was into all the music and they sang stuff from Grease. So I knew all the words and I
Oh
learned
my
all the
God.
choreography. And then they said when it was time for the
Grease.
concert, you realize
Wow.
you can't be in the concert because you're not a
Oh.
4th or 5th grader. It's like, what? My mom got so angry about it and complained. And he said, well, he can't sing with the choir, but he can sing a solo. Like, what? So they had me sing You're Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile from Annie.
Oh.
With a couple
No
lyrics,
way.
the couple lyrics changed to make it Oregonian.
Yeah.
And holding a cane and wearing a hat. And that'd be
Yeah.
the first time I ever performed. At that concert, I got up and I sang,
Wow.
hey, Hova man, hey, Dapper Dan, you both got your style, but brother, you're never fully dressed without a smile. Yep. So I did that. And the lyric we changed was, the lyric is in the show, who cares what they're wearing from Main Street to Savile Row? But we changed it because the street that our school was on was Aspen Road. So
Yeah.
who cares what you're wearing from Main Street to Aspen Road?
Yeah. I know.
So that was it. So then my dad started like writing letters to the local opera and the local theater
Amazing.
companies saying, I have this kid who wants to perform.
Yeah.
Wow.
Could he be in your shows? Put together a resume for me. And then my whole childhood, I was constantly doing theater at the local
Amazing.
university, at the local community college, at the local community theater, at the professional theater in Oregon,
Wow.
at the high school.
Incredible.
You know, and then when I was in high school, I went to the Interlochen summer camp, Interlochen Arts Camp,
Right.
for 3 summers, and I did tons of shows there too. So
Yeah.
my whole childhood was doing shows. And then over the last like 20 years, I haven't done it as much. And
Okay.
I missed it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I jump at opportunities. And around the COVID time, my husband and I went to live with my brother and sister who are moving to Anacortes, Washington. So we moved in with them
Okay.
for 2 years. And they had a
Wow.
nice community theater. I directed 2 shows, both of which my husband were in. My husband was in a ton of shows that they did. And I just
Amazing.
loved it. And when we got back to New York and all the people we worked with, on the shows I directed, were doing
Mhm.
more shows at the theater and at other local theaters. And I'd just be like, well, I want to do that. I feel like they better really appreciate what they have because they have it great.
Yeah.
Theater doesn't have to be professional for you to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I was so jealous. And then recently they called me and they said, so we're doing the Laramie project. We're in auditions now and the director
Wow.
quit. Can you
Oh my
direct it?
God.
Also, we're doing Sweeney Todd in October. Will you direct that for us too? Because the director quit that one. And I was
Wow.
like, oh my God, I really, really want to do both.
Yeah.
Careful what you ask for.
But I was like, I don't think I can get away immediately.
Mm.
Even October, which is when Sweeney Todd performs, is
That's
pushing
soon.
it.
Yeah.
It's soon. But I wanted to do it so bad that I'm turning my life upside down so that I can go to Anacortes at the end of this month for auditions, and then get back
God.
out there in July to start
That's so nice.
staging it. I have a musical director, so the musical director can teach them the music
Yeah.
while I stay working here. And I'm still pursuing acting work, so I have that going on.
What are you
And
working?
then-
You said you had all these jobs. What's happening in your life?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Okay, so the directing job is that.
Yeah.
That's that. Then
Mhm.
one of the producers who used to produce Bones and now produces NCIS was like, I'm gonna write a role from you on our show. I was like, that would be cool. And I used to
Wow.
work with one of the producers of NCIS Hawaii, and he was like, oh, I want to get you in on the show. So I was like, well, that'd be good. And
Yeah.
I audition for things when the things I want to audition for. I have an agent, here for
Perfect.
theater.
Yeah.
And then so my other 3 jobs. One is I don't know, have you been in New York?
I've been once, but it was
I've
a very
never
long
been.
time
In the
ago.
In the middle of Times Square, there's what's called the TKTS booth, and it's where you can get discounted tickets to Broadway shows.
Okay.
I'm working there 1 day a week. I
Okay.
stand outside and tell people like what window to go to and stuff. And here's the thing. If you work there, all the Broadway shows invite you and give you free tickets to go to the shows because you're out
That's
there
good.
talking about the shows.
That's
Yeah.
And they
good.
want you to talk about their show.
Yeah.
Broadway tickets can be like $150 to $200.
Yeah.
If you're getting a
I know.
pair, that's like $400.
Yeah.
So I'm getting paid for a day's work, but I'm also making, about what, $400-$800 a week in terms
Yeah.
of
That's amazing.
value of the tickets.
Yeah.
But you
I've been
work
doing
so
that.
much. Do you see any shows? What shows have you seen?
Well, I just saw The Great Gatsby, which I loved. I just saw a play called Scarlet Dreams that I thought was really good.
Oh.
I've seen the
Excellent.
play Stereophonic twice, which is great. I've seen Back to the Future 4 times, love it.
I didn't even know there was a Back to the Future.
There
Honey,
is Back to
there's
the
a-
Future musical.
Musicals
It's great.
everywhere.
It's great. So then the other jobs,
Mm.
when I was in Anacortes, I started working as a peer counselor at a mental health facility where
Yeah.
people were there involuntarily. So they were upset and wanted to leave. And
Yeah.
I was there to run groups with them and talk to them. And I did that for 1.5 years while I was
Wow.
in Washington.
Okay.
And then
That's a challenging job.
when I came back to New York, I looked for a similar job. And I found
Okay.
one at the total opposite. It's a 7-day respite, where the other place was like, you could be there for a long time. This place
Yeah.
is 7-day respite. Everybody wants to stay. No one's forced to be there. They want to stay longer.
Right.
Oh wow.
And I'm just there to
Challenging.
talk to. Sometimes they don't even talk to us the whole time. And then in their survey at the end, they say that it was just great to know we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have to talk. They were just like glad that we were there. So that's what I do. And I was doing that full time when I got back to New York.
Yeah.
But now I'm just
That's
doing
incredible.
it 2 days a week.
That's a lot of like challenging, like in terms of you can get burnt out. I know people who work in treatment facilities and stuff, and it can be a little bit, you can burn out if you do it too much. You know, you
Yes.
need to take time
Well,
for
you need to
yourself.
take personal days. And,
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
And then the other job I'm doing, which is like full force, is I got my license in real estate.
What?
And
Wow.
I'm a
That's
real
amazing.
estate agent. Technically, I'm a real estate agent from Tuesday through Friday, but I'm kind of working on it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
never. Yeah. Real estate, you got to hustle. You got to hustle.
It's really fun and it's not boring. And
Amazing.
it's just, yeah, I love doing it. It's great. So
Yeah,
How long have you
it's
been
all
doing that?
happening. That I've been doing a little over a month.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
This is
It took me about a month to study for the test, and you have to take 2 tests.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to pass them both. Mwah. And
So cute.
you have to pass them both, and then you're in, and then you have to find a brokerage to sponsor you. And
Yes. Yeah.
I'm with Oxford Property Group, and I love them. And if you're
Amazing.
moving to New York, or you live in New York, or you need a place to stay,
Honey, I can
Contact
barely
me.
afford to
We'll
live
be
here.
definitely
I'm
talking.
never going to
Yes.
do that.
if you're gonna buy, if you're gonna rent, yeah, but people are listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I know,
Yes.
I'm
Oh, for
joking.
sure.
Of course.
Well,
of
do you
course.
have?
opgny.com. Look me up
Yeah.
on there under agents. I'm a real agent there.
That's perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You're
can
ever
be shown
needing
a
a place in
property
New York.
by you can be shown a property by Eric Millegan, star of Stage and
Bones.
Screen. Very lucky.
You can.
That is incredible. Yeah, my brother-in-law is a real estate agent, and I see he is working just around the clock. I know how
Yeah.
much work it
Definitely.
is.
Yeah.
So
I'm
much
an
work.
accountant, so 4 months of
Oh,
the
yeah.
year are they're crazy, they're insane,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the other months are better. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
in my
I'm
better
just a
months right
bum.
now.
I'm just a bum. Don't mind me.
That's not true. That is not true. You were also the brain behind Squintcast. I just show up. I'm here to chat. But Kelly does all everything. She does all the advertising, and she does all of our editing and everything. She's amazing. So
I do my best with my limited abilities, my technical abilities. But Eric, I wanted to ask you, if we can just dial it back to, let's look at our bone situation here. I'm really curious because I'm somebody, as I said before, I didn't watch the series when it came out. This is all new to me. Every episode we watch is new. And did you, like, when you were doing the first 3 seasons, how far ahead of time were you notified of Zach's fate, like your character's fate at that point?
You're talking about in season 3?
Yeah.
oh
So what happened was the writers were on strike.
Yes.
And at the same time, I was really getting into the Portland Trailblazers. Well, I mean, I'd been into them since the 90s, but I was getting into them to the point that I was starting to like go all over the country and watch their games all over. Like I went to Boston to see them play. It was during the strike. And then the TV guys there were like, "Are you coming to Florida with us?" Like, because the next 2 games were in Orlando, Miami. And I was like, yes. So I went back to the hotel.
Can I?
Went back to the hotel, got my computer out, and started like booking everything. So I spent quite a bit of time there just going from game to game. And while I was doing that, the strike had ended, I think, or was ending. And I got a call from Hart Hansen, the creator of the show. I got a call from his assistant saying that he and Stephen Nathan want to have a meeting with me, schedule a meeting. So I scheduled a meeting for like a week later. And then I was at a game with my brother-in-law. And I was like, I wonder what this meeting's about.
Yeah.
So then I like called. I was like, what's this meeting about actually? And he was like, I don't want to talk about it right now. We'll talk about it at the meeting. I'm like, no, you have to tell me now.
Yeah.
Can't do that. You can't
So
do that to somebody.
I was at the game and he told me that I wasn't going to be a regular on the show anymore. He said it wasn't the worst news. They wouldn't kill me and it would open up the door for me to return.
Yeah. Which I love.
From time to time. But but he's like, you're not gonna, and I was like, oh my God. So then I was like, okay, we need to move this meeting up. We're doing this meeting.
Yeah.
We're doing this meeting tomorrow. I'm coming back to LA. So I come back to LA. I go to the office. It's Stephen, Nathan, Hart, and I. And Stephen Nathan is like, you're Gormagon, which of course I wasn't Gormagon. I was his apprentice, but that's what they told me at first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, wait, Zach's been eating people? And they're like, no. So I was like, oh my God. But then my initial feeling wasn't like, oh, I'm off the show or anything. It was like, oh, what a cool storyline.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like they gave us the script for that last episode. I was like, oh my God, I get to do more than I've ever done on the show.
Yeah.
Although I hated the very end of the script where it says, because they're going through some of my possessions. And then it says like they all join hands or something and the circle is complete. like they've moved on without me. I'm like, no.
They will never move on without you.
I was
Yeah.
like, what is going on? But it was really fun to do it, and it was fun to come back. And yeah, I think we'll come back at some time too. I don't
hope
think bonus
so.
is over. I don't think
And
bonus is
when-
over. When we did
Yeah.
the big television critics association panel before
Yeah.
season 12 aired,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was there for that. And Michael Peterson, who was running the show the last couple seasons, he had taken over for Hart.
Okay.
He was like, "Oh, this show's not over. No. This is definitely not over. We are bringing this back. I
It's too
refuse to
good.
think. I refuse to think that we're not going to see these characters again." So, I mean, we're owned by Disney now.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I would be
Yeah,
surprised.
anything
if,
could
like,
happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 6-episode season on Disney Plus or something like that. And maybe
Eric.
Yeah.
and hopefully I'm in like one of the episodes or something.
Or all
would be
6
amazing.
would be
That-
great.
That would be
Yes.
great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That would be for you to have that though. That would be incredible. And
Oh, it would be awesome.
I
We're
know
all
they
old,
needed.
though. We were all
That's
such
okay.
babies.
I'm old too.
Now-
Who cares?
Now
Well-
I'm almost 50. I'm the oldest of all of them. I mean,
Really?
Tamara,
All right.
Tamara
That's-
and David.
No, really?
Tamara and David are older than me, but I'm
Yes.
older than the Squints. I'm older than Emily, Michaela, and TJ.
We
can't-
had
Michaela's the youngest,
okay.
then TJ, then Emily, then me, then David and Tamara. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, one's older than the other. I'm not sure which one.
We've
That's
kind of
okay.
talked about this like throughout our
Yeah.
podcast because there are certain episodes where they talk about how Brennan did something X number of years ago, and we're like, how old is this woman?
Right. Well, yeah, she talks about I think she talks about Waco or something.
Yeah.
She talks
it's like,
about
did she do-
Waco.
Did she
She
do that
talked
when she was
about-
12?
She
I
talked
know.
about Rwanda too, about Rwanda. She talked about all these places in South America she went to,
Yeah.
being totally.
And she was only like 28 or 29 when we started the show.
Yeah.
Exactly. I thought it was crazy. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
We were
Well,
such babies when the show started.
Oh, isn't that
Well,
crazy?
just look at X-Files. They came back for
They
what,
did.
2 seasons, and
Did they?
yeah.
yeah, and that
Maybe we'll do that.
yeah, I
And
hope
Jillian or Gillian, I don't know how you say her name. Gillian
Anderson.
Anderson
Yeah.
she has tons of work now, so we love to
Yes.
see it.
Yeah.
We love to see it.
so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I was going to ask you about, because you talked about that last episode, the last arc that you had on season 3 before you went away for a while. I was going to say, speaking of explosions, because you and TJ specifically, and also there was that one Howard Epps episode, I think it was The Man in the Cell, where you had to experience that explosion when you put the hand on the woman's belly. And there was a bomb inside her body, and
Yeah.
Oh,
who
yeah.
saves you from that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just
That
curious
was
about this.
amazing. I'll tell you
Yeah.
about that for a second.
Please do.
Okay.
They had a whole setup. In retrospect, I was like, why didn't we just use it? But they had this whole flying setup. And they were going to
Yeah.
hook me up to a harness and stuff so that when it blows up, I literally go like flying.
Yes.
And David and David's character does a table and kind of has us get behind the table so that we're protected.
Yeah.
Flips over this table. And I'm like, I can jump over this. And David's like, yeah, he can get over this. So we didn't even use, in retrospect, it's like, why didn't I like take advantage of the chance to
harness.
fly? Yeah,
Yeah.
but we were like, we can do this without the harness. And we did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I love
that
I
was
love
so
to see
cool.
explosions. They're fun
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I got to explode a few times. I
Yeah.
exploded at we had an explosion in the Ookie room in my office. There was some
Yes.
sort of explosion because I remember, well, that was just kind of a thing where I just like threw myself back. Then we did
Yeah.
a shot of us lying on the floor covered in soot. So they had all
Yes.
this black makeup on us. And
Yeah.
TJ and I went to lunch in that, by the way. It was like lunch break.
No.
We went to like the commissary and we're like covered in like black makeup, and like the head of the network, Peter Lagori, is there. We're like, hey, what's up?
How's it going? Did you and him, you guys, the two of you got up to no good all the time on the show.
Yeah.
Did the two of you hang out outside the show as well, or after those long hours you were probably exhausted?
I mean, we had fun on the set. I'm trying to think, did we hang out much off the set? Not too much. He would throw major parties now and then at his house, like for random holidays or something. He would throw like a giant party.
That's so cool.
Like when you enter into his house, like there's like a pathway with like huge plants everywhere and lights, and you'd go in and there would be like, carnival machines, for food, cotton candy and popcorn. And he would do these like big blowout parties.
Oh my God.
And
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all.
I would do poker tournament parties at my apartment.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Sometimes I'd have like, 30 people at my apartment, and I'd say, can we all go to your party? So my party would go to his party.
Wow.
That's cool.
So what's the
Once I had-
buy-in? Sorry, I was going to say,
Oh, it
what's
was
the buy-in at your
It was $20.
Oh,
Okay,
I
that's
can even
good.
participate in that. That
Same.
sounds great.
At Christmas time, I would pay everybody's $20 to the pot,
Okay.
but I'd tell everybody they could rebuy unlimited times for $20. So the pot got
Aw.
really big.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
But yeah. So but yeah, I remember once he had one of his parties, and I just gotten some pajamas. I was like, should I wear my pajamas to his party? And I did.
That is
like blue
awesome.
pajamas with like
Were they
stars
satin?
and moon, and
Oh.
no. They
That
were
would be
like
funny.
flannel kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a fun party.
It was a
Trying to
fun
think-
party.
Oh,
He's
have
not
you
going
ever
to tell
seen-
us what
if you
happened at
haven't
that
seen it,
party.
If you haven't seen it, you should see a movie called The TV Set. Have you ever seen this?
I don't think
Okay.
so. No.
It is a
No.
very funny movie, although it's
Okay.
probably
Write
more
this down.
funny if you've done it, if you've been behind the scenes. But it's basically, it'd be educational for you because it's a fictional movie, but it's about how a pilot gets made and goes to series. And David Duchovny is Hart, right?
Oh
he's
my
he's
God.
like the creator of the show, and Sigourney Weaver's the head of the network, and Justine Bateman is in it. She plays David Duchovny's wife. Judy Greer is in it. She's amazing.
I'm looking at it, the
Gosh.
IMDb
This is a
now.
stacked cast.
Amazing
So
stacked cast.
good. It's so good.
Oh,
And
Willie
TJ
Garson
and
is in it.
TJ and I went to that. Oh, he is. TJ and I went to that together. We were like practically falling out of our seats. We thought it was the funniest thing we'd ever seen. And again, a lot of it was because almost felt like it was written about us.
Yeah.
So we were just
Wow.
laughing a lot. Even the two guys. Oh, a big thing that would happen a lot is people wouldn't know TJ's name or even his character on the set. Like they'd
Right.
say, Zack and Eric, we need you over here. He's like, what's going on? He doesn't know my
That's
name
so
or my
funny.
character's name. But in the movie, the two characters who audition for the lead of the TV show are named Zack and TJ.
No way.
So we were laughing at that. And then probably the funniest moment, it's kind of an in joke, but the funniest moment is this actor, everybody talks about the lead actor not being very good and he's over the top. But the start of the scene is you're watching him shoot a scene, and it's this kind of emotional speech, and he's like really good, and it's really modulated, and he really doing a good job of the scene, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then he finishes the scene, and then they yell, "Cut on rehearsal," which we thought was the funniest part, because we're like, oh my God,
wow.
it was just a rehearsal. He just did the best work and they didn't film it. We just were
Oh.
rolling in the aisles when
That
they
is so
said
funny.
cut on rehearsal.
You're both like, oh God.
And then of course when they film it, he's terrible.
He was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But,
so that wasn't based on Bones, or was, or what is
Well,
What's
we
that all
TJ and
about?
I choose to believe that it's about
Oh,
bones.
okay.
Even
That's
though
really interesting.
the show is a sitcom in
Right.
it's not a drama. the
Well,
show
I
they're
guess we know what we're
Okay.
watching, right, Brittany? We're gonna have
Seriously,
to watch that.
yeah, we're definitely gonna be
Seriously.
watching that.
I
Oh
just
my God.
find
But here's what I'll tell you when you
Yes.
watch it.
yes, tell
Everything
me.
that happens to that movie is exactly what happens.
Okay,
So
Really?
good to know.
if you're
Good to know.
curious, to
Yeah.
what auditions look like, how they are in the movie is exactly how they are in real life.
That
And
is
the
so
way they
cool.
talk about you and the way they film it and the way everything in the movie. So if you've ever been curious about how like a TV show gets made, it is 100% accurate.
Okay, I'm definitely watching this for
Yes.
sure.
Oh my God.
That sounds so awesome. Thanks
Message
for
me
the
on
suggestion.
Instagram after
We
you watch
will.
it.
We will. We will
Definitely.
for sure.
You can ask questions. I'll answer.
Amazing.
Do you have any TV suggestions, obviously, other than Bones that you've been watching recently?
Well, I mean, during the pandemic, we all loved Schitt's Creek. I just thought that
Oh
was
yeah, that's
so
amazing.
good. And Ted Lasso was great, though I haven't seen the last season yet.
That's the best season
It's
yet,
the
in
best
my
season?
opinion.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah.
haven't seen the last season
That's
yet.
good.
You
We
guys
watch
are funny.
we watch Amazing Race and Survivor.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this season, the last 2 seasons, they've been doing hour-and-a-half episodes, which we kind of like.
Oh,
Yes.
So I watch those. I'm a big basketball fan, so basketball's in our
Yeah.
house most of the time. Other TV shows that I would recommend that I liked. You know, I
Mm.
liked it. There was a show we watched during the pandemic called, I think it was called Orthodox or something like that. It was about like an Orthodox Jewish girl who's about to get married and she just runs away. What
Yes.
was it
I
called? Was it
remember
called
that.
Orthodox?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right. It was called
I can't
that.
remember, but that was good. And I love the morning show. I haven't finished it yet, but I do love the morning show a
Yeah.
lot.
Very
I
nice.
still haven't finished House of Cards, but I liked that show. Um,
It sounds like
yeah.
you watch TV the same way I do. I'm like partway through several series, but I haven't quite finished. We just started watching. There's a new series called Fallout that's pretty good, based on the video game.
Oh
Very
yeah,
good.
That one's pretty
Cool.
good.
Very good. With Walton
It's no
Goggins.
Bones, but
No,
Word.
but
it's okay.
Walton Goggins makes everything better. And I wanted to, I wondered, because you had the opportunity to work with a lot of directors when you were working on Bones. Of course, you keep mentioning Man and the Bear, and I have already decided we're only on season 4 at this point in our recap podcast episodes. But my favorite director, I have like a list of my favorites. One of them is Alan Croker, who I really enjoyed.
him.
Like Man and the Bear is like by far, like still to this day, my absolute favorite episode. But I wondered because I know that I think it was Emily's father directed an episode, and I
Mhm.
was
He did.
curious about their dynamic. It's Caleb, isn't it? And it was the one,
Uh-huh.
the glowing bones in the old stone house, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what their dynamic was like in that because I'm curious. I don't know what that
don't
would be like if my
remember.
father did that.
Sometimes you're not aware of things like that because you're so focused on your character.
True.
Right.
You're going in, I don't have specific memories about that. I will say I have memories
Okay.
about Alan Croker, who
Oh,
we kind of had tension between us when it started, and then we became like our favorite people.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when we started, it's very weird. When you do a play, the person who you work with is the person who cast you. They already like you. So, right. They cast you in the show. They
Yeah.
love you. They're working with you.
Yeah.
right.
TV directors get stuck with you. Like, so they may be to cast you, but they come in and they have to deal with me, and I might not even be the guy they would have cast for the part.
Right.
And then
I never
by
thought
the
about
end
that.
of by the end of the episode, you love working with them, and then you got to start working with another person.
Yeah.
Once the series goes, a lot of directors come back, and it's different.
Right.
But with Alan, the thing that happened, I think it might have been a Man with the Bear. I'm not sure, but with Alan, we had this one scene that I was having trouble getting right. And he was kind of getting mad at me, and Emily was being very defensive, defending me, like, calm down.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got this take. And we were doing it, and then I did it great. And I wasn't really paying attention to the cameras were or anything. I mean, normally you want to because you want to be facing them and everything, but I mean, you want to play for the camera, but
Right.
but I guess I was, and I nailed it. And it turns out they were just filming my hands.
No.
And we're like, what? And it was like, I did it. And they're like, no, we're moving on. And Emily's like, he did it. You can't move on.
I thought you were gonna say it was just rehearsal.
Exactly.
It was just rehearsal.
He was like, well, we're moving on. And she's like, no, he can do it. He can do it. Yeah.
Oh,
But we all got
wild.
along. By the end of that episode, we all got along, and he came many times to work with us.
The way that you're talking about Emily, it sounds very much like her character defending Zack.
Oh yeah, she's not like her character. In fact, people would say that they thought me and Emily were the least like our characters.
Okay.
Because they're like, if you watch the takes, and they're like rolling, and you can see us like kind of joking, like and talking, kind of, and then they go, rolling, and we go, like immediately look at the stuff that's really serious.
Yeah.
Pointing at the
like
bones.
this. And then they're like action, and we're like all serious, looking at the bones, talking about the bones. And so they always say like we're the least like our characters.
And you seem to pick up on social cues and that kind of stuff. And I feel like Zack and Brennan, they're not. They're like, what's that? Why are they doing that? Which makes them so likable. That's part of what makes them so awesome. But
I like to hear
in the original script when we shot the pilot, Zack had all these like zingers at Booth, like all these like, and I liked it, and he was a real smart aleck, and they kind of felt that I was just coming off mean. So a lot of those things got cut out of the pilot. I had a lot of like zingers and a lot of like, nasty lines at Booth that got cut. And I kind of saw my character in a certain way. And then they started writing it in this more innocent way. And I thought, that's not how I've been playing this.
Really?
And, but I realized that it was absolutely the right move that they did because it made my character likable. If we did it the way that I wanted to do it, you guys would have all hated me. So it ended up being the right way to do it. Like even like Zack can't drive. I'm like, what do you mean he can't drive? But then he has that line. If you knew what I knew about something engineering, you wouldn't drive either.
You wouldn't drive either, exactly. Yeah. But I was thinking how often Booth threatened your life, you and TJ. He was always threatening to kill you. We keep track of how many times he threatens to shoot you in certain situations. So I wouldn't mind if you were snarky back at him sometimes.
Oh, same. But
a bunch of my lines were cut out of the pilot. A whole scene, actually, when I auditioned for the show, since I didn't feel like there was like a full scene in the pilot that would show off Zack's, character. Hart wrote a scene specifically for the audition. It was not in the pilot, but it was written for the audition. And I, obviously did well at it because I got cast in the part. Yeah. And then he was like, you did so well, I want to put it in the show. So we shot it, but they ended up not putting it in.
What was the scene? Can you tell us anything about it?
It's a long time ago. I remember more about how I played it than I do remember exactly what I was saying.
Really?
But we were like in one of the labs. I was like in my office. I had my feet up on my desk. We were having some discussion about science or aeroscience or space or something. And I had this long speech and I just did it. I was leaning back and I just did it really, really fast. Like that's what got me the job because I said it really fast. Like I'm really, really smart. This is totally easy. And you know what I'm talking about?
Like, very Zack.
Like, I was like,
like obviously I know all this. Here you go.
And then he'd be Zack something. And I went, what? So like that was my like thing. I
love that.
I decided that speech was going to be really fast because Zack thinks fast.
Yeah.
So and actually I'd love to find it. I asked Hart if he still had my audition. Because I said, I had that Patreon page. I thought it'd be, cool to share my audition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can
could
post
do
that for sure
that
if you
for
can.
sure.
And then the
Yeah.
actual scene that was cut must be somewhere too. So maybe I'll ask him for that.
Yeah, you should definitely put that on your Patreon. That'd be great.
It was raining too. Oh, that's a
my
big
gosh.
news I can give you. I don't know if you know this.
What?
When we did the pilot. Well, first of all, you know that the lab in the pilot isn't the lab for the rest of the series, right?
No,
Okay, so
I
the
don't think I
I
lab-
clued
don't
into that.
think I
Oh.
knew that.
Because after
No.
the lab in the pilot is a real place in California.
Yes.
That we put the
Oh.
platform on. That's that big space with the windows, and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
That was a real place, like on the USC campus or something that we shot. Once we got picked up for series, starting with the second episode, they recreated it on a soundstage at Fox Studios.
What?
Wow.
So
That's
they
wild.
recreated the whole thing. They spent a lot of money on it. So if you look at the first episode, real place, all the other episodes after that, recreation.
I didn't know that.
And so the recreation obviously is indoors, but the actual place, just had little windows. And I think it was open at one point, and it started raining really hard while we were shooting the episode. It's the first episode scene I think you ever see where we're on the platform and we're over the corpse and we're talking and joking and talking about our book. Like, am I in the book?
Yeah.
And I have a line like, I'm not a virgin, not even close, as a matter of fact. Or so I can't remember what the line is.
Yeah.
But so we're all talking and everything, but it was raining really hard. But they tried to cover us with the lighting boards and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they digitally edited out raindrops. But if you look really close, you can see a drop of water like on some of our costumes.
Wow.
And it
I'm
started
going back
raining
and
really
looking.
hard.
You have
Started
to.
raining
We
really
have
hard.
to.
They had to put the windows back, and then they had to cover it, but that would blow off. And it started raining, but they're like, we have to shoot right now.
Oh
So
my God.
all the speaking had to be re-recorded for those scenes.
Really?
So we did the whole thing, and they got it filmed and took the raindrops out. But we had to go to the studio then, watch it, say the lines, and match them up with the video.
Oh my gosh.
It's called looping. And
Sorry,
it's something
that
you
sounds...
do a lot whenever there's a problem with sound. It's something you have to do in post-production. And in fact, there's also something called an ADR, which is additional dialogue recording, which is sometimes lines are added when you don't see us.
Yeah.
Like if my back is to the camera, we can go and record a line. So that because they want to add a line. There was even in pilot, I think, near the end, there was a big wide shot coming down to that little lounge we hang at. And it was really wide, and then they close up on us.
Yeah.
They gave me a line during that, even though my mouth's not moving and I'm not saying the line when we filmed it.
That's
They gave
so
me a line
cool.
to bring us into the scene. But yeah, so when you watch that scene on the platform, all the speaking you're hearing was done in the studio later.
Oh, I need to go back and look at that. That's cool.
Look for raindrops. There
I
are
will.
a few. There are a
I
few
love
on
this
our lab
stuff.
coats.
I love it.
That's amazing. That's
I
so
love
cool.
any continuity stuff like that. I love that stuff.
TJ did a great impersonation of our director, because our director for that episode was a genius named Greg Yatanis. He did all the good episodes. He did the Christmas episode for the season 1. He's a very, very good director. He did the pilot.
I love that episode. Yeah.
Anyway, and Greg, I don't think they were married yet, but he had a girlfriend named Jenna.
Yes.
And TJ did. And so apparently Jenna had said, it's going to rain. What are you guys doing here? Right.
Right.
So TJ did this great impersonation of Greg, and he'd say, Jenna knew. Jenna knew it was going to rain, and they didn't do anything about it. So he was like, this is my Greg and Tana. This is my Greg and Tana's impersonation. Jenna knew.
Jenna knew.
I love that.
Greg Yatanis. Okay. I'm looking up his all the episodes he did right now. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a very good director.
This is a little bit random, but we're talking about the pilot. So was there anyone, because now that we're talking about things I didn't notice, was there anyone that was recast after the pilot?
No, and that usually happens. And
Yeah.
nobody was when I got the call that we had been picked up, the first thing I asked Hart was, is everybody doing it? And he said yes.
Yeah.
I'll give
Incredible.
you another thing about Greg. Greg, this is another thing for you to look for. In one of the scenes around the Angelator in the pilot episode, near the end of the show, the camera is kind of panning around us. You know, of course, that thing we're looking at is not there. We're just looking at nothing.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
So
Great
the
acting.
camera's going around. The camera's going around, and Greg's like, I'm going to Hollywood it.
Yeah.
And what Hollywooding meant was that he was going to come around from within, but that whenever the camera got to us, we had to squat down out of the camera's way so they could see
of course.
the person above it. So the whole thing's coming around, and we're as we're doing the scene, people one at a time are kneeling out of camera,
bopping up and down,
squatting out of camera. Yeah,
wow.
He says he's calling it Hollywood, is what he called him, Hollywooding it, and we were like, this is ridiculous. We don't even know what we're doing. It was so hard to not laugh.
Yeah.
And so when you watch that episode, think about the fact that we're going up and down.
Okay, I need to rewatch.
Wow, there's so much homework.
That's
so much
amazing.
homework. The other director I wanted to ask you about, because you're talking about Hollywooding it and the spinning situation. Another guy I really like is Sanford Bookstaver. I enjoyed his work too, and he did lots of episodes in the first few seasons anyway. Do you remember anything about working with him? Did you enjoy them or no? Or it's okay to say whatever you want? Sanford
Is he the young
Bookstaver.
guy? Is he the young guy?
He's pretty young, but he did the Graft and the Girl. I know he did that one. And
did he do
I think he did a Man on the Wall as well.
Did he
Sorry?
did he do The Truth and the Lie? I mean,
yes, and he also did the Girl
I
in
know
the
who it is.
Fridge.
Yeah,
Girl
he
in
was
the
really
Fridge.
young. I think he was in his 20s. He was a young
Oh
guy.
my
That's
gosh.
right. Girl in the Fridge. That's right. I totally remember him doing the fridge stuff.
Girl in the Fridge was cool. I liked what he did there.
I remember
him rubbing.
I remember him rubbing his belly all the time, and he'd be like, "Why am I rubbing my belly all the time?" It's like, I'm fat. That's a big thing I remember him. I remember doing one episode. It might have been the Fridger one. I can't remember. Where okay, whenever we finish a scene, and he has everything he needs, so we're gonna move on.
Yeah,
right.
He says, check the gate is what they say, which means you check the little gate thing on the camera to make sure there wasn't a hair on the gate when we were filming.
Oh, smart.
So we say check the gate, and we move on, and then sometimes you'll hear a hair on the gate, so we got to go all the way back and do the scene again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, you'd always hear, it's a term I had never heard prior to this, but when a scene's done, they go check the gate, or someone will say, cut and check it, or cut and check the gate. And we were doing a scene. I'd had problems with it, but we were, gonna get through it. And I was like, okay, I got it. So we went back, and then in the middle of the scene, I think it was with Michaela and I started laughing about something. And he yelled, the director yelled, cut, check it. And we weren't even done with the scene. He was like, screw these guys, this scene's over.
Moving on.
So I totally remember we were in the middle of the scene, and I remember him being like, cut, check it. And we're like, what's going on? We didn't finish the scene.
Was there ever a time where you guys were nailing it, but there's the regular extras, the recurring extras in the background to make the, I guess I'm saying this to you, you know way better than I do. But so these people that are in the background, like Agent Charlie, for example, did they ever do something where they had to, the director's yelling cut and you're like, I'm killing this scene right now?
Yes.
No.
Reset.
No. The background actors never messed up.
Amazing.
I'm sure if they did, they'd be immediately fired and they'd move on to someone else.
Fair.
You know what I mean? They can't have.
Fair.
They can't be held up by a background actor.
What about?
But they are amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
I watch them. I'm like, oh my god, you guys are better actor than I am. They do serious acting.
Yeah, they do.
Even when I got to work with the background actors who played my family in the Christmas episode. They come and visit me.
Yeah.
And the guy playing and you try to find ways to get the reactions they need. So if you have to laugh, you try to find something funny.
Yeah.
Or, if you need to smile, you try to find something to smile about.
Yeah.
And the guy
Yeah.
playing my dad was just so goofy, like telling a story and everything. And I just naturally laughed at it. I was like, this is hilarious. If I wasn't supposed to laugh, I could have not laughed, but I let myself laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, this is funny. I can laugh at this.
That is so
So-
funny.
That's amazing.
He was great. I think he was a stage actor too. I think he had done like
Oh, wow.
Beauty and the Beast on the road, or I don't know if he had done it on Broadway. but
Hey, that's great.
Wow.
he had a theater career.
That's amazing. But
Yep.
did you have any favorite background actors? Like, yeah,
Well,
like Agent
what
Charlie.
about-
Agent Charlie's our fave.
I
Well,
don't know who
I'm
Agent Charlie is. Who's Agent Charlie?
It's Nathan Dean, and then the other guy is
I'll look him up.
Greenman, David Greenman, who is the FBI forensic dude, and then there's Joe Davis, who is a security guard off the
Joe, I know.
platform.
Big Joe. Big
Okay.
Joe.
Yes.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Well, I talk about Joe a lot because Joe does a lot of work. He's
does
always
a great
in the
job.
back. He does a great
Yeah.
job.
He did a big tour, I think, or was it at Madison Square Garden of a Masters of the Universe, and he played He-Man
I bet
Oh
he
my
did.
God.
I bet
Years
he
That's
did.
cool.
years before Bones.
He's a
You remember
Chippendale.
Joe, right? Big Joe. He played a security guy on the show. I think he came to our parties sometimes.
Oh, he was
Did you
great.
guys ever?
I'm looking
Did
up.
you-
Okay, who's Agent? What are these people's names? I'm gonna look them up.
Oh.
So I can
Agent
see.
Charlie's name is
Um,
Nathan Dean, which maybe
the
you wouldn't
actor's
have had
name.
any scenes with him because that was
No.
mainly with Booth.
Mostly with Booth, and then
No,
David
I don't know
Greenman would
Nathan
have been with
Dean. Who else was it?
David Greenman, but I think he worked with
David
TJ more, maybe,
Let me
and
see.
Booth
Yeah.
and
In later
Emily.
in later episodes when
I
TJ's
don't
all
think you would have known him.
annoyed
No, I didn't know him.
because you're not there.
But Joe
and he's like,
Davis
"Ugh."
was a Chippendale, and I noticed him, and I
No way.
loved his work, and I thought he's there all the time in the background,
Yeah.
making sure everyone's swiping their card, and I just think it's really
Right.
fun.
Is that something that you were always focused on, like going on and off the platform, making sure you swiped your card and
Nah.
no?
I got to learn what matters and what doesn't. Because I
Yeah.
come in as
Yeah.
like a serious actor. I want everything to be real, and I just want the camera to catch it.
Yeah.
And then I learned, like, for instance, we'd be on the platform, and someone would come. And so one side is the stairs that go up onto the platform, and the other side is just, there's just it's gated, so there's no stairs on the other side. So anybody who's coming on the platform comes from the stairs, right?
Yeah.
We're doing a scene, and like Tamara playing Cam like comes from the other side. We're like, why is she coming?
Where's
There's no
she
way for
coming
her to
from?
get up. Why is she coming from there? She has to come up over here because that's where the stairs
Yeah.
are. Guess what? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
When you're shooting it, it seems like this makes no sense. But when you're watching on TV, not a single person watches it and thinks,
Yeah.
wait, she's coming. You don't think that. There's close-ups, there's things. You don't think like, oh, they're coming from the wrong direction. So I learned that. I learned in a lot of cases, things that I was
Yeah.
worried about do not matter.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big
Well-
lesson I learned every day the fourth season. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do it.
As in life,
so
most
awesome.
things don't matter. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good life lesson. Life lessons with Eric Millegan.
My husband wanted me to mention something. I don't know if you know
Yes.
this, but
What?
I made an album several years ago called Eric Millegan Better with Friends, and Emily did a duet with me. So if people
Yeah.
didn't know that, you should definitely check that out. It's on all the streaming services. I think it's on YouTube. So
Okay.
yeah, I just thought I'd mention that.
I was
that is a
aware
great
of that.
mention.
I was aware of that, and I think it's fantastic. She seems like a very generous person, like with her time and stuff, and
Mhm.
she seems
Yeah.
everyone talks about her like she's like she is
Like a
a really
wonderful
genuine
person.
person, really nice
Yeah.
person. But is she funny? That's my question. Because I know she's married to a comedy writer, and I want to know, like,
is.
I want to,
Oh, she's
I think-
hilarious.
yeah,
We always
Yeah.
talk about the funniest thing that happened on our show.
yes.
For the two of us. Well, actually, there's two Emily stories. One, there was one where I think it's this, where she's making the speech about Waco or something. She's making this. It's in The Boy in the Bush. She's making
Yes.
this very, very serious speech, and they wanted me, because of where the camera is moving, they wanted me to step forward, then step to the side while she's doing this like serious scene. And
No.
I'm going like this. And we just thought it was so hilarious. And she was having trouble concentrating because she was like, what is going on?
Yeah, how did she not break out laughing? Oh my God.
Wow.
The other thing was we were on the set once and they were like adjusting the lights. And I don't know, you start to not notice the people around you. And Emily and I were singing from Annie. And like at the top of our lungs, we were like, maybe far away, or maybe real nearby.
This is my dream.
A little bit later, Maggie, our first assistant director, pulls us aside and says, Eric, Emily, you know when you sing? We love it when you sing. All of us, we love it when you sing. But could you not right now?
No, don't listen to her. Always sing Annie. Annie, I
Also,
was my one and only production. I was Annie in my elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I was Annie in our Annie elementary school production.
Nice,
so I know every word.
Nice. I love Annie.
It's
I think my
the
two
best.
favorite shows are Annie and Peter Pan.
Yeah, Peter Pan. I like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat is good too. I like that one.
The king would stop and stare, and when Joseph put it on, you knew his...
Come on.
I know a lot of the colors too.
Oh gosh, I made Brittany sing the
purple and
green and brown and scarlet and black and ochre and peach. There's a lot of colors. I'm gonna stop.
I want a Brittany and Eric duet so bad right now.
It has to happen.
No. Kelly's got to get in there. She says she doesn't sing, but she does. Eric, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, so generous with your
talking
time.
with you.
Of course.
Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining us. It's been fantastic.
Thanks
and
for having
I'm so
me.
grateful. I'm so grateful for your time and for, again,
you're
your
welcome.
husband lending you to us for a little while. And thanks for letting us meet Mrs. Malloy. That was great, too.
You're welcome.
Best.
All right.
If you're ever in Toronto and you need any advice on places to stay, let us know.
Well, I got you on Instagram now. That'll be our special place.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. I will let you know if I'm in Toronto.
Excellent.
Well, we know where to send anyone if they're wanting to buy a place in New York now.
Yes, definitely.
Buy or rent. I'm there.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you,
Bye.
Eric.
You're welcome.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Bye.
We're so excited to have had Eric Millegan join us for this little interview. I'm so grateful to him for, giving us his time. And we got to meet his dog. And we even heard like his husband in the background whispering. I love that. I've heard other interviews with Eric and his husband's always like really boosting him up, trying to make Eric sing his, get his flowers and sing his praises. And don't forget to mention this. And don't, you did this. I love that his husband's so supportive in that way. And I'm just this is awesome. I'm so happy.
That was amazing. He's multi-talented.
Oh my God.
So friendly, so easy to talk to.
Like not even half of the stuff. I wanted to ask him about if he's still painting. We wanted to ask if he played instruments. I mean, we'll have to have him back on in case we have dinner party with a piano and he can come over and sing songs and we can just sing show tunes all night long.
We've set up this cabaret evening. Joining?
You know what? He would be great. He could come to Toronto and do a show at like a bar in the neighborhood. People would go like crazy in droves. I'm telling you.
Oh my God. What a wonderful person. And
What a
so
great
generous
guest.
of him for
Yes, I agree.
for talking to us.
Yeah, I would love to have him back. We could talk about so many more things. And I guess on that note, thank you very much for joining us for this very special bonus episode of Squinkcast.
Squinkcast. Bye.
See you around. Bye. Thank you for listening to Squintcast with me, Kelly Booth, and your new friend, Brittany Elsner. Intro and outro music is by Twisterium at Pixabay. Cover art was done by Irena Dolenc-Stajan. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Squintcast. Email us at squintcastpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at fab_empire_ on Instagram and TikTok. Brittany is at Brittany81523 on Instagram. See you next time.